Hello, guys. We are back. And like I told you on Wednesday, we would be back. Keeping my promise. You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and you are watching the JENIFLIX segment of my show. And tonight, while I was preparing for this show, it occurred to me that I should say this. I am not an egotist. Although if I didn't have an ego, I wouldn't be a human. But I am not out of control when it comes to what I am egotistical about. And I say that because this particular series may not get a lot of people watching it. And I think, because the content for most people will think is craziness, and it is out there. But because my ego and I am unaffected by if you watch it or not, if you believe it or not, if you think I'm crazy or not, to me is insignificant. I am instructed to share this, and I am doing God's will. The rest, well, I'm here, just me, doing what I have to do, and the reaction of the world to this has no impact on me. So I was told to say this, and I'm not sure why. And with that being said, I always have a lot to say, but tonight I'd rather you hear from Mel and Erik. However, I would be remiss if I didn't insert this. At the end of the last show, at the end of each show, we sort of turn the camera off and we catch up. Because although we speak on the phone, it's only when we do a show we are face to face. And amidst our conversation, someone was tapping on my head. As always, I call myself the door now, because the way everyone comes into Erik and Mel when it's related to our divine mission is by tapping on my head. If you don't watch this, if you haven't seen the other segments, and then after they tap on my head, Erik and Mel check, and we go from there. So the end of the last segment, there was a woman tapping on my head, and Mel and Erik both identified her as a Japanese woman. Now, I don't know any Japanese people who've crossed over. Sure, a lot have, but none that are directly connected to me. Wouldn't you know it? She is another victim of Sandra Tong. Sandra Tong has done probably some of what she did to me, to this woman, and this is an assumption since I'm not sure. But the woman led Mel to Sandra Tong's house in Los Altos, California, where Mel had to retrieve something that Sandra was holding, that was somehow keeping this woman stuck. And I'm bringing it up to say, for those of you who had difficulties believing, what I shared that she did to me can now see I am not picking on a insignificant person in my life, but this person is not only hurting me, but others. And so I'll turn this over to, well, first of all, let me welcome my JENIFLIX team. Welcome, Mel, to JENIFLIX.
Thank you for having me again.
And Erik, the show would never be the same without you. Welcome to JENIFLIX.
Hello, Jennylyn. So I just checked the Nielsen ratings, and we have gone past CNN in ratings now.
What would we do without you? So
Yeah.
Mel, I was going to hand this over to you, and I don't know if you wanted to share about this Japanese woman, and then you could take it into where you want to start with what you have experienced since our last segment.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, she tapped on your head the last time we were off. The recording stopped, and I followed her. She took me to the house of, Sandra, and she pointed to the top of a tree. And I'm looking at the top of the tree, like inside the tree top. And I retrieved, which looked like a box. And I, open the box, and there is just, I can't fully tell what it was that was in there, but it was energetically connected to this woman. Okay, so what I did is what I always do is I kind of, take that energy and I transmute it and I dismantle whatever is associated with it, because that's what I do. And after that, she took me to a body of water. And it was more a still body of water. It wasn't the ocean or anything, but a still body of water. And you went down into the body of water and I retrieved something else. And it kind of reminded me of when we were doing this with you, Jennylyn, because you had, something at the root of a tree and you had something in underneath in that body of water. As a matter of fact, I think it's the same body of water, to be honest with you. It felt the same. And I retrieved something and I dismantled that too. Okay, so I didn't spend much more time on this particular female because again, it's, there's probably a lot more to it, but this is what I did for her while, after she tapped on your head. And that's what I felt called to do. So yeah, so there's definitely more. There are definitely more people that are involved in this. That she has affected, and for some reason, this particular woman decided to come to you and ask for that for help. Okay, that's basically what it is. So that's with that. Now, with regard to other events, this since Wednesday, I guess, because we haven't, it's only been a few days, but something significant happened that my spirit team, they're reassuring me right now because I was really um, wondering whether or not I should share this. But I'm being reminded here that what it is I'm going to share is not something that they do not already know. Okay, so it isn't something that they have not already um, determined what happened or who did it. Okay, so yeah, so
Do
that's
they know who did it, Mel?
I'm being told that they do. Yeah.
Okay.
So for that reason, it doesn't matter. Okay. So yeah, if it was something that, wasn't that was meant to be secret, then yeah, that's one thing. But if they know already, and they kind of want me to say, they kind of see this is when I'm sort of being used to represent Michael here. He always speaks through me. He likes to tell them, So okay, all right. So I'm gonna just say it. Um, it all has to do again with you and what happened to you, right? 2 nights ago, you were again affected by something that was, hurting you, that was in your vessel. And as usual, you reach out and, I try to assist you, right? And as I've mentioned before, I go into your vessel and I, trace, you know, any threads of magic or anything or remove anything that's there. And it's been a little different. There really hasn't been magic lately. I want to say that. There has not been magic, which that was completely something different from before. I rarely find magical traces now because most of the attacks are coming from the beings that actually enter your space and then do it. Okay. And that's not magic. That's a full out blown supernatural attack, if you so will. All right. What would be a metaphysical attack, not supernatural, but metaphysical. So um, when I, um, was working on your vessel, um, the, okay, it looks like my computer is not plugged in. Hold on. Uh, when I was working on your vessel, I noticed that, there were different things happening again. So I took care of these different things one by one. But one thing that was brought to my attention led me to a certain uh, person, a certain individual that is in the public eye that we're not going to mention here. Okay. So I don't want to mention this person's name. Okay. But let's say it is the same person that we have identified who was screaming when I was in the Sphinx and who also, showed his uh, displeasure verbally on another occasion. Okay. So he just can't help himself because it's just a scream of no, like that kind of thing. All right. That's what's happening. So, um, that said, what basically, um, uh, bothered me about what happened to you. Okay, there in your yard, I found which looked like a golden sort of thread that was in the ground. That's how it started. I saw the golden thread, and there was some sort of cord. So I followed the cord, and the cord went underneath the house and into your living room. And I thought to myself, "What's this? What's this cord?" Right? I didn't know what it was for. And the angelic self of mine decided to just pull out a lighter. Don't ask me why, but we just do weird things. I pulled out a lighter and I lit this thing, and it was like a fuse. Okay, it just started to go like a fuse, like and around, and I watched it, and it just sort of exploded, but not in an explosion that we would think an explosion would look like, but more like a shock wave, an energetic shock wave. All right. And that happened. I did that after I removed the golden thread that was in there. So the golden thread was removed physically by me, or energetically rather, and then that blew up. So that kind of was that. And I was wondering about this because I couldn't identify. I didn't know at that moment who did this. Why was it there? I had no idea. But this particular person in connection with this particular public figure came up. And so, we were able to sort of clear your vessel. And then ultimately we were able to, allow you to have, to go to bed. I think that was the night you were okay. I'm not sure you can speak on that. I have no idea, but we were okay. You were okay when we hung up the phone that night. But for me personally,
No, remember, I was woken up at midnight
oh, that was the night it was that.
when
Okay,
in excruciating pain.
okay,
I felt like somebody had just performed surgery on me with no anesthetic. It was that bad. I
got you.
couldn't sit, I couldn't lie down, and I was forced to turn on the camera, and Mel will tell you lots of souls were going up.
Yeah.
Tons. I just wanted to insert that.
Yes, no, absolutely, yes. So I think those that was with regard to the souls, and there were lots. I didn't know so what all that was for. Again, I'm not privy to those practices that they're doing and what they're doing them for. When I come across them, I simply dismantle them. So this golden thread and all of that probably had something to do with the souls coming in and going up. So that's what the conclusion we took away from there. But what was more importantly is that I went to bed that night having this public figure in my head and having all these thoughts and trying to figure things out, connecting the dots, and so to speak. And the next morning I woke up and the first thing that I noticed, on this on my a TikTok account, because I go on TikTok in the morning when I wake up and to check to see if I have any messages and so forth from, because this is I have a large account there. So I looked, and the first video that pops up in my feed was that of a man who I don't believe is human and who was speaking of the seal of Solomon being used from a certain organization in Hollywood that starts with the letter I, and they use this seal in order to get others who have upper echelons to comply. They have to, he was telling the public that they insert the seal into these people, energetic seal, so that they can sort of control them. That's the main thing. So I saw this and it was just weird because I've actually channeled a message and that is on my TikTok account many months ago, the beginning of 2024, wherein I connected that information to that public figure that was on my mind when I went to bed. And I thought to myself, well, this is no coincidence. I went to bed with this public figure on my mind, and now they're showing me this with this seal. And I thought, well, so I asked a spirit, I said, okay, is there anything that we need to do with the seal? And the answer was yes. And I thought, okay, so just, let us know what to do with the seal. And the message was, let's go and do this. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't know what that means, but all right, let's do it. As I'm always game for this kind of stuff because I never know what's going on. So I was guided. All of a sudden, I see this visual in my mind's eye, this seal that had like the Star of David on it, so to speak. And I, felt inclined to touch it. So I touched it in the ethereal. And when I touched it, I could feel its immense power. So I touched it and I said to my spirit team, I said, so what do I do with it? Right. And my spirit team said, take its power. And I thought, okay, well, how do I do that? And I didn't even think that thought for it was barely out of my mind when all of a sudden, I guess I do what I do, and all this energy started surging into my physical vessel. And I was literally sitting on my couch because this was in the morning, right? And I was, shaking almost with this intensity. And there goes the scream again from this public figure, as in no, like really upset that he knew something was happening. And I thought, well, there he is again, so this got to be connected to this man, so literally, I mean, here we're connecting the dots without even trying that hard. And so I finished what I was doing, and I basically then I was really a little freaked out, to be honest with you, and it takes much for me to be freaked out. But I sat on my couch after this happened, and my physical vessel was just trembling. My tongue was coming out of my mouth in a weird way a couple times, and I was like, "What is going on? This is so weird. I cannot. Am I going to be okay?" And so let me. So anyway, so I was a little concerned about what was going on, and but Archangel Michael told me I wouldn't have allowed you to do this if I wasn't, confident that you were able to do it. And I said, okay, well, yeah, I trust him and his judgment, but when your body reacts to something a little weird. So anyhow, so I have this power now within my vessel that has not left, and I'm not sure what to do with it or what to make of it, in the sense of what it can do. But here's my understanding of this, because I did have a conversation with my spirit team about it. And what it the power of the seal that's been used, okay. This seal has been used by dark forces for a very, very long time. Okay, we're talking a long time, and it was used for, like I said, control and other nefarious purposes. All right. So that said, when power itself is not a bad thing. Power can go either way. Power can be good or bad, right? So it is my understanding that when I removed the power from the seal, it is now, and I took it, it is now been converted into something positive, okay? Because I cannot be corrupted. So therefore, it was my understanding I was able to take its power, or allowed to take its power rather, because of the fact that they're not concerned that I'm going to do something with it that I'm not supposed to. Okay. And that's basically what that means. I also understand from what I've been told, because I asked, do they really put this thing in these people, for control? And I was told that whoever has this inserted in them it's no longer has a purpose. Like, it doesn't work. Okay. It's like lost. It lost its power, right? It doesn't do anything. And so I thought that was really, really strange. A strange experience for me, because I didn't expect it, right? Here I am waking up, just drinking my morning coffee, and then I'm being all rattled with this immense power from this so-called Seal of Solomon. Now, here's the thing. I want to briefly add before I get it back to you, and then maybe Erik can speak of some things, is that last night, right, in the middle of the night, I was woken up at 3:03 in the morning. Okay. And because I know this because when I'm woken up, I look at my phone because I want to see what time it is. And so I'm woken up and I'm still half asleep. And and not that this hasn't happened before, but this was really odd. So I'm laying in my bed, and the next thing I know, I put my hands out while I'm laying down, and I'm sort of spreading. I'm using the power of this seal that's now part of me to spread and go seek out all of those who are connected to it. Okay. And I could see in my mind's eye that this energy that I was spreading out was going all around the globe. And and what I was also channeling, it was literally, I'm literally waking up and I'm channeling this and I'm doing this. And I knew that was for the greater good, but and I'm sure that the timing of it was divinely timed as well. But what also happened is that they told, I was channeling is that to show them, and because I didn't know why I was doing this and what they were seeking them out for. Now, when I heard the word show them, I wasn't sure what they meant, but it came with a feeling. Now, after that was finished, I sort of understood that these people who have this were made aware that this seal is no more in that way, and that they were affected. Something I did affected all these people. They had some sort of reaction. And I don't know exactly what that reaction was, but they were made aware of it. And I think this is the reason why this is no problem to talk about it now, because they know that it's not there, that it no longer exists. Okay, so or in that form. So that's what I'm gonna leave it at today. That's my story for today. That happened since Wednesday. So back to you or Erik.
Before I bring Erik on, I would like to say two things. That story doesn't end there because something happened at my house last night where King David literally, and I know you're looking at me again. What do you mean King David came to your house? He did. He came here, and after Erik, Mel can tell you what happened when he came to my house and tapped on my head. And the second thing is, I'm sure you've all, or a lot of you have heard of the story of the alien who was, or not alien, we hate that word, we don't like that word, the higher terrestrial being who was in that egg. And we've all heard that the government has retrieved what was his name, Mel? Seth? Seth?
I think they're saying cest, but I don't.
The name that
I'm just
the
going with
media
what
is.
other people say. I've never heard his
Yeah,
name. I was
the
never.
name that the media has been calling him is probably Seth. I woke up one Saturday morning and Erik sent it to me, and I thought, whoa, he's good looking. Am I going to get to meet him? Anyway, he has been, the government has him and he's been interrogated. And there were a lot of people saying that the Black Hawk helicopter that went down was carrying him, and the reason it crashed is because he was on board and whatever. Well, I've seen several people posting this on TikTok, and I actually circulated some of it because I was starting to believe it. And you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. I'm sure you have trouble believing everything we tell you. Mel and I were having a conversation about it this morning when I was having my coffee. I was saying, Mel, I don't know. Something isn't sounding right. What do you think? And Mel said she didn't believe it, that no higher being would take these many lives. It didn't gel. And you will not believe it. We hung up the phone. Mel brought through her daily message, both on TikTok separately and on YouTube, and both separate entities, same message. He is not dead. He is still here being restrained by our government, and I will attach one of Mel's videos so you can hear the message for yourself. Okay, so
Hi everyone, it's Saturday, February 8th, 2025, and I have a message for you all today. If you don't know me, I'm Mel. I channel messages, I read energy, I remote view, and do all sorts of things. Let's see who's coming through for us today, okay? The Galactic Federation. And we are coming to you today through this channel. I wish to address matters which appear to have been misrepresented. We do not follow up on all false information out there. However, we do feel the need to address this specific matter because it involves our galactic brother we speak of is the one who has been located recently in your Antarctic Circle. His discovery made headlines in the spiritual community and otherwise. The most recent information indicates that this particular galactic brother was on a aircraft which unfortunately was involved in an accident, or so it appears, which took the lives of other innocents. We want to speak on this and tell you today that this galactic brother did not occupy a seat on this aircraft. This galactic brother did not cause the accident. This galactic brother did not make decisions based on what he believed was the right thing to do, because this galactic brother was in contact with us telepathically shortly after his awakening, and as such has been operating with our guidance since that time. This galactic brother is currently still on your planet in the custody of persons who wish to squash the incidents by making it appear he is no more. Rest assured, this galactic brother is still in human and physical appearance on your planet at this very moment, and is being interrogated for various reasons. Do not allow sources which may or may not be credible to give you information that may not resonate with you. We ask that you think and feel your way through information provided not only by your media, but also by those who appear to be connected For even those who are connected can be infiltrated. Again, our galactic brother is still on your planet. The incident was caused to cover up this matter and to make it appear as though he is no more, to draw the attention away from what truly is happening.
Okay, so we'll be back, and now it's over to Erik to tell us what's happened in his world since Wednesday.
So I'm going to touch on Mel's story a little bit. So we were talking about this before we went on air about the seal of Solomon, and I'm going to reveal something to your audience that they did not know. But I'm a third-degree Freemason. Been self-excommunicated since 2007. But did you hear that?
I heard it clearly. Did you hear it, Mel?
Yes, I heard something.
And it's not Mel's battery, it's not Erik's battery.
Right. So and a lot of the lore in Freemasonry revolves around King Solomon and King Solomon's temple and the Freemasons that constructed this massive temple. So I was like, so I've got a bunch of books that talk about these things. I've got a series of books that Freemasons put out like in the 1800s. And so I have to go back and reread all those, but I do want to let everybody know, because I haven't even talked to Jennylyn or Mel about this, but there is a seal of Solomon. So there's several different versions of it. They say that the Star of David is considered the seal of Solomon. They also say that there's a ring, and this ring has power. And so that power, it can command demons, spirits, animals. It can bring you more wisdom. It can control supernatural forces and protect against evil. Now, they also describe those same things in either in a talisman or an amulet. So that is according to the Jewish lore. So I'd say there's plenty of evidence that says that Solomon did have, in fact, a seal that he utilized for things. Now they say that whoever holds this can control the supernatural realm. So it makes sense that when Mel, when you were talking about how you went out and you felt like this was going everywhere. You were going to see what it's all connected to. It's going to be connected to a lot of things. So I just wanted to kind of hopefully, verify what you're feeling and seeing. I was told something also while I was looking into that, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. I'm not allowed to. But there was something that got thrown in my face while I was reading through that. So yeah, I would say it's that Mel is valid. It's definitely something that you are going to, when you're dealing with that much power, they want that into the right hands. And I would say that it was gifted to Mel for a reason. And, they got the right person for it. So.
By the way, Erik would have been a good person for it too, because I am blessed to say the two people that I work with that are my closest friends are two people that are high integrity humans and whose number one agenda is to protect all humans. And Erik every week will always leave us with encouraging ways to love each other and help each other. And I know that I'm blessed because these are the two people that I work with, two people whose integrity I will never question. I know they're humans, but to me, they're more angel than human. And so I feel really, like I say, blessed. And I know that what they share with you, you can take it to your grave. Erik, are you done? Is there anything else you want to add right now?
Well, just to add to that, Jennylyn, and as I'm sure that you and Mel both know, that when you are in that, standing up for the right thing kind of mentality, which I've pretty much lived my whole life doing that, um, it is going to draw in, a lot of people that are not going to like that, because you're going to stand up against things that are much, much bigger than you,
Mhm.
and they're going to push back. And a lot of times it doesn't always work out in your favor, but it doesn't mean that you're not right by standing up for people and standing up. I don't like to see bullying. I can't stand it. So when I see things like that, I will be the first one that will say, no, no, that's not happening. So that's just something that, I'd rather everybody just get along. Why can't everybody just get along? It's really easy. Just, smile at somebody instead of glare at them. That'll make a huge difference. You walk down the street and start glaring at people, people are going to glare at you back. It creates a negative encounter. When you can project positivity, and you are most likely going to have that positivity reflected back towards you. So there you go.
And Erik couldn't put it better because I feel the same exact way. There's nothing that triggers me more than bullying. And when I'm driving home or going to work, I am tested and I have to stop and go, don't engage. And I'll share with you briefly what triggers me about that. If I'm driving and someone wants to get into the lane in front of me, I am the first person to stop and let them in. I've had enough accidents that I don't want another. But when you come on the front corner of my car and it feels like bullying and stick the front tip of your car almost hitting mine and creating PTSD, nothing triggers me like that because that's what I call bullying and I can't stand it. And every day I'm tested because I have to stop and tell myself it's not worth it. Just let the bullies go. And another thing while Erik was speaking that came to me that I wanted to say is both Erik and Mel have given of themselves tirelessly to help me. I know at nights if we can't get a hold of Erik, he has a life. He's a famous author, famous journalist. He's probably out there signing autographs or doing something, or he's probably resting. Because last night we were really trying to get a hold of him when that hand appeared on my shoulder that was that of King David. We didn't recognize what it was. I was a little panicked because Mel didn't know what it was, and we didn't know if it was something good or bad. I just know this hand appeared on my shoulder. While Mel was trying to figure it out, I tried to call Erik, and he was busy, so he wasn't there. But one of the things that I realized in that moment is there has never been a time when I've called up and said there's something in my chest, my back, my head, a hand on my shoulder, that something wasn't there. There was always something there when I've reached out. And so it's clear to me my part of this mission is I call myself now the door because they knock on. I get the knock and then I reach out to Erik and Mel and sometimes they're both there, and I like it when they're both there because they both see the same thing, and then they go and together they resolve it or they're taken to where they need to be. So that I don't continue blabbling or babbling, why don't I bring Mel in to tell you guys about King David last night and why he was here? And then we'll wrap the show up by talking about the alien, not alien. Mel, what is the name for it?
Or yeah, they otherworldly beings or star beings, they prefer those words. Okay.
Okay.
Worldly because it kind of like goes for everything. It goes for the ones in the galactic realm and it goes for the ones below, uh in the other world, in the underworld. So it's kind of like a term I don't have to worry about calling it the wrong thing. I don't think it's a big issue, but I have been sort of made aware that they do not prefer to be called aliens or even extraterrestrials. So
Okay.
I'll call them that. And I mean, is that a big deal when someone does? Probably not. But if I'm connecting with them, I'm going to do it the way that I know is right and what is respectful, and that's what I do. So yeah. So the King David story.
Yeah, we can talk about King David, and then I was gonna have Erik talk a little bit about the thing that was in the egg, because I can't seem to get the name to call them correctly. Erik, because I woke up one Saturday and Erik sent it to me, like I said earlier. So maybe we can have Erik talk about that, and then we'll have Mel add her 2 cents, and then we'll wrap.
Yeah. So well, I was a little thrown off yesterday because, as I've mentioned to your viewers before, that I don't have the capability to fully see in detail like Erik does. Okay, it's not one of my abilities. I see what I need to see, and that's what, and I trace energy. And that comes with that. It's almost like I always say it, if you have a kung fu master and you basically blind him and he just has to go feel out where the enemy is. That's kind of me. Okay. It's oftentimes I liken myself to that. I respond to energy. Not seeing well allows me to hone my other senses or allowed me to do that. Whereas otherwise I would rely on my, visual. So that's the thing. But I do see enough and I get these. And so, but here's the thing is I saw this hand and this hand looked gnarly and it had a signet ring. So I'm wondering, Erik, when you said this ring, I wonder why, and on the small little finger, it wasn't a little finger, but, it was the small finger of this person, of King David. And it was very clear that I was meant to see this ring. So when you were just talking about this particular ring that's so powerful, I'm wondering if that's the ring. Okay, but that's beside the point. I don't know. I guess this is not for us to know because that ring is on King David and it stays there. I don't know who. Okay, but here's the thing. He actually told me he took this as I was looking at his hand. Um, I asked my spirit team, I said, okay, help me identify who this is because I don't know who this is. And then all of a sudden the hand became more human. Okay. So I guess the premise of me looking at this gnarly old hand, of someone who may be actually already deceased potentially, right? Was so that I would know that we're looking at someone of old, okay, an old times. And so as it became more clear, I saw that this person was actually of stature. Okay. And then I heard David, King David. So this is how I knew that it was David. Okay. And it took me a while. Just, we did it without Erik. Erik could have had that in like 2 seconds, probably.
Now you
But
know why we were blowing up your phone, Erik. We needed you to see who it was.
but so anyway, so this uh I didn't know how to react because I'm not familiar with that story as much. Okay, so I could sense. Now here's the thing: is I knew that this person was not a threat, a Jennylyn. I know you mentioned earlier that we didn't know if it was good or bad. I sense intention. I can immediately sense intention, and I knew that this person wasn't there to threaten you. Okay, I could sense that the intention, but still, I'm not going to just run with it. Okay, I need to know who it is, and sort of to gauge what I need to do. So, especially tapping on your head. So, as I figured out who it was, this King David, all right, actually grabbed my hands as I stood in front of him. I stood in front of him for some reason, and he grabbed my hands and he actually thanked me. He thanked me for once again restoring or reclaiming the seal, because I guess the seal was supposed to be something else, right? It was misused. That's basically the gist I got. And he did not agree with it. Okay. He did not like it. And he did tell me, that they will, those who are there, they won't not going to like it. Okay. And I mean, why would they, right? And it isn't just the seal. I mean, most of what we do isn't liked by those that were doing it too, right? I mean, this is not some sort of secret here. But that's basically my interaction with him. He, was able to just make himself uh, almost as if he looked at me, and the way he communicated with me was almost in a way respectful, and I was a little taken aback because I'm not familiar with him per se and those teachings and in those scriptures, and certainly not any kind of Freemasonry books that Erik's talking about. So I'll be interested to see what he finds on this one. But I just wanted to share that real quick, all right? Because that was my interaction with King David, and he basically wanted me to know that it has finally been reclaimed, because I didn't understand, at that point, really truly what it really means, until he said that. I knew that this seal and its power was misused, but I wasn't really, I didn't understand. So now I know that King David actually never wanted this to happen. So if anybody wants to tie King David to the Seal of Solomon and its misuse, or rather the misuse, then he's not part of it. Okay, that's not what he ever wanted it to be. So I think this is also part of the message. This is why he showed up. It's just so that I would understand, and we all would understand that he's not. He didn't intend for this. That's what I took away from that conversation, that brief interaction. Rather, it wasn't a conversation, but a brief interaction. So yeah.
Erik, did you have anything that you want to add to this? And then I wanted you to talk about the egg, that video you sent me. And then we can talk about Mel's channeling today, which preceded or followed our conversation that she and I had. It was like they were listening and they wanted to clarify.
Yeah, so I'll just comment on the egg real quick. So I've been kind of following this leaked government video and audio that has been flooding some of the other websites. So they in Antarctica
I just
allegedly.
heard a male voice. Did
Yeah, I
you?
heard it too.
Yeah.
But allegedly, there's been footage of this egg from another planet or whatever. It's extraterrestrial. It's massive. They say it's just massive, like 2 SUV sizes. And it's in this like cave in Antarctica, and then off to the side of it, there's like this hyperbaric chamber. So what what they're claiming is that there are actual beings inside this egg that are still in like a stasis uh, uh, kind of situation. And then in the hyperbaric chamber, they were able to get the being that was they could see laying in it to come out of stasis. So they interviewed it, and there's audio on that, and just like what Mel and Jennylyn were talking about, his name, he claims his name is Sets. So, but with this egg, the one thing that I looked at, so there's there's a forensic investigator that looked at it, and his specialty is photo analysis. He says 99.2% that the video that he received of the egg is real. So that's big. He said that's pretty significant. Um, However, I was just reading through an article on Newsweek, and they left out so many details. They talked about how this was getting, talked about on all these platforms, but they refused to mention that there were beings inside the egg, and they didn't mention the hyperbaric chamber at all. So that tells me that, yep, that tells me that the fix is in, and the government hasn't said yes or no to it. So I think they're about to do something. I think there's just an egg. As far as the major media is concerned, it's just an egg, and it's just floating around. These anonymous people put it on the internet, so who knows if it's real. That's how they're kind of playing it off. So there you go. There's your egg update.
So, I've been following this story because I heard several different interviews. It's the same interview, but several people have been playing it on TikTok. And one of them is a gentleman or a doctor by the name of Stephen Greer. And he specializes in this type of work. And he also played it. So I've been following it. And then after the crash of the collision that happened over DC with the Black Hawk and the American airline aircraft, there were several videos going around claiming he was on board, and that was the reason for the collision. And I sent one of the videos to Mel, and this morning at coffee, like I said earlier, I was asking Mel about it, and she didn't believe that. She didn't believe that any heavenly being will take so many people's lives to save himself. And so she says, something is off with that video. I don't believe it. And I could not believe it. Shortly after that, she brought through her messages, and we were told definitively he is still here on earth. He is not dead. He's being restrained, and they wanted to make that clear to us. And so that's my 2 cents for this week. Eric, what do you want to leave before we go? Is there anything? Because we're down to a minute. Is there anything that you had in mind that you haven't discussed? Please, the stage is yours.
No, not really. I just want everybody to make sure that all these major changes in our country and all these things that are happening that we're not used to seeing happen, that everybody just take a deep breath and just relax before you make major reactions.
Mel?
Well, as Erik was speaking, I was trying to think of a good closing spiel, but I can't really think of much other than, again, a lot has happened, and we really never know what's going on every day. Like I really want your audience to understand that I wake up every morning not knowing what is going to happen today. Okay. And I do my personal readings and energy work sessions with clients throughout the day that come to me. And I get strange things and exciting things through that too. But the really, really crazy stuff comes when I go and I tap into your your vessel and
I
you.
to fame.
So honestly, it's kind of like I never know what's going to happen. We don't even some of the stuff. Even I look back and think of, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. I can't fathom how this actually happened or that this happened. So it's we're just as surprised, in other words, as your audience probably is. Okay, because really, and that's the thing. I kind of go with the flow, and I just allow for what is to unfold, and to just take it day by day. And if I'm being presented with, an otherworldly being that's hurting you, I'll take care of that being. If I'm being presented with a bunch of bug-like creatures who are biting you, I'm doing that, right? If I'm presented with some sort of magical thread, I'm doing that. And if I'm presented like this week with some seal that I don't even know, didn't even know what he was doing, then I'm going to deal with that. So you see, this is how we do things. This is how I do things. I'm sure, Erik, that's how you do it too. You kind of just go with the flow, and and that's how we work. So there's no planning involved ever. It's literally just day by day, at least on my account, on most occasions. I know Erik works a little differently sometimes, but on my account, there isn't.
So, guys, thank you that you have continued to follow our story. Some of you tell me it's intriguing, and I have to agree with you. From a very little girl, I was told growing up that I was born for something really big, and I never really understood what that meant, especially when I sat back and evaluated my life. And I look around me, and everybody seemed to have everything so easy. I'm like, what kind of big thing they're telling me I'm born for? I mean, I never knew it. I could never understand it. And to tell you the truth, even those telling me, I don't think they realized what it was. Because when King David and all of these, like, famous people we know of historically and from the Bible are coming to me, I must agree. I was born for something big. And Erik and Mel were the two people that were also born for this big thing. Because, like I said earlier tonight, they come to me. And the strange thing is, I don't know why they come to me, because when Erik and Mel are busy, I go, oh, I know you're there, but you have to wait, because I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. I don't know if you're good or you're bad. Come back when I'm talking to Mel or Erik. And I swear to God, like clockwork, because last night Erik was busy and I didn't hear from Mel until late because she was also busy. But the minute we connected, Mel, I'm sorry, someone was tapping on my head and it was King David. So, guys, I'm not sure my role in this or why they don't tap Erik and Mel's head directly, why they come through me. It's still a mystery, but I must declare to the world, those who like me and those who don't, you will never stop me. It doesn't matter what you do to this vessel of mine. You can never touch my soul. And I have bouts where I feel a little down because this is not fun, but I would not trade it for the lives that the people who are living big have. No way. This is what I signed up for, and I gladly embrace it and will do the best I can because I have two wingmen that will not let me fall. And thank you again for hanging in here with us. And we don't know what we're going to tell you next time we come back, but hang in there because I'm sure you're going to find it intriguing. And we'll see you soon. Bye bye.